Hey friends, it's Bailey from the Fountain Pen and Ink Station. I hope everybody is having a good day or night wherever you are. I hope everybody is doing well. Luckily the sun is out and the birds have been singing. Spring is on its way finally here in Minnesota. Though I did see some freezing rain in our forecast. No! So friends, come along with me as I try to find a dupe, or try to mix up a dupe for this. Come on, stay. It's called Ka-Ku Cafe Noir. Here's what it looks like. M. Lovewell has been out of stock for a while. I am unsure if M. Lovewell is going to get a restock. You can find it overseas. However, let's just see if we can try to avoid having to do that. So come along with me, friends, as we mix and try to find it. And if not, we pay the taxes of having ADHD. Let's go, friends. Okay, friends, move my stuff out of the way for everybody. I'm just gonna kind of wing it here a little bit. If you hear my animals in the background, they're trying to get out the window. They're trying to look out the window. So please excuse them. My dog Watson, who's staring at me from to my left, has been having some kennel cough. So if you heard him in one of my last videos, that was him. The timing on that video was kind of impeccable for him. That was the March Madness introduction over on Instagram. So let's get going. I just made a little simple groove with pencil. So I'm just kind of go over a little bit what I wrote down. So for mixing colors, friends, I like to have a pipette. I like the glass ones because they're easier to clean. You can pull this off and then rinse it in water really easily. I like to have ink mixing cups if I decide to do it that way. That's what these are. I 3D printed these ones. But I can link below ones that you can find at Michael's or online at Amazon. And then I like to have palettes or mixing cups, depending on which way I go. And I have this. And I labeled it 1 through 6, just easier for me. And then I have my water cup, which I think you guys saw at the beginning of the video. My swatching tools, I like to just mix with a little paintbrush and then swatch it with my standard B0 nib. And then I'm trying to think what else I'm forgetting. Just keep in mind when you're mixing not to mix iron gall or waterproof inks with other non-iron gall and waterproof inks. I have done that, learned from my... Okay, sorry friends. So I don't like mixing between iron gall and non-iron gall or waterproof and non-waterproof, just because I'll learn from my mistake. It gets a little... It doesn't react well. And each fountain pen company is going to have a different formulation. So if you're mixing between different companies, so like let's say I brought my example here, Birmingham Pen Company, and you mix it with Colorverse, I would actually let it sit in a vial for 24 to 48 hours to see how it mixes together. You may or may not have good results before putting it in your fountain pen. So friends, the only thing I am missing, let me go grab them, is my ink vials. So I will be back shortly. Okay friends, I'm just going to be using these small little, I think they hold 2 millimeters. I got a huge pack on Amazon a while back, and I've just been working my way through them by doing ink mixes. So let's begin. So I was trying to read up ahead of time on mixing brown inks. I don't typically mix brown leaning inks. However, this is an exception. So let's just swatch this real quick. And I would describe this Ka-Ku Cafe Noir as a pink leaning brown. There is definitely shades of pink underneath. And then let's see if I can maybe do like a little bit of a water test here. Green. So sometimes I like to do like a little water dab just to pull out some colors. So it looks like maybe the base is green, which I need to go grab a green because guess what, friends? That's the one I did not bring. Let's see. Everything I have over here is teal and turquoise. So give me a second again. Sorry, friends. Okay, so I think with this, we should probably try first with a green and a red, just based on the hues that this is pulling up. So friends, can you see the green and it's like pink? This is going to be, I think, a hard one, more challenging ones to mix. Only because I don't usually mix browns to begin with. So let's, friends, let's use our little ink colored palettes here. And going by the theory of it being red and green, which could totally be off base. I'm going to put some Firebox in one. I'm just going to start with that much for now. I'm just doing about a little over half a millimeter. I can see this. And then I'll do the same with Pincushion Moss, which is a really dark green. Okay, so we have in number 1 Firebox from Birmingham Pen Company, and number 2 is Pincushion Moss. So I'm just going to take Firebox, and swatch it. I don't use this ink very much, actually. I use it mostly for mixing, and I've given out samples, so there's not that much in here for my cloth here. Okay, and then number 2 was Pincushion Moss. No, well, we're already getting a little preview of what that's supposed to be. I have too much stuff on my desk. Friends, do you ever feel like sometimes you just have too much on your desk when you're doing a project, and then you're just kind of forget where you're supposed to start? Okay, this is called Firebox. I'm going to be intrigued because this is definitely more pink than it is red. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the Firebox, and we'll put that in 3. And then we're going to take the same amount, hopefully, move you down a little bit, of Pincushion Moss. So there'll be like a 1-to-1 ratio. And then we're going to mix, and then we'll see what we get with 1-to-1. Okay, friends, it's 1-to-1. See if I have enough on there to... It's close, but maybe a little too red leaning. So what happens if we take a little bit of green and add it? That would be a 1-to-2 ratio. Now it's more green. So it's almost like you need a nice lean between the two. Although I will say, wait, let's let this dry for a second. Make sure you're in frame, because I don't think you are. Actually, I could just zoom you out. Okay, friends. I have a habit of spilling things. So this was 1 to 2, because this would be our first one, Birmingham Pen Company Firebox, and then Pincushion Moss. That's pretty close, friends. I'm just using a Stalogy notebook. It does not do very good with heavy swatches, but it does pull the color out really well. So I'm still having issues with that Hobonichi notebook I have. Okay, friends, let me pause this and let's look at the next colors. Okay, I had to think about this for a second. So what if what we're seeing is blue and not green? So what if we mixed, is it blue and red? Let me take, this is Birmingham Pump Company Sea Holly. I'm going to put that in number 4. Get this in here so you can see number 4. And again, we'll do about 0.5 millimeters for each one we do, because I don't want to make a bunch of ink if I'm not going to use it. The whole point of this is try to find an ink that I will like, that's going to kind of fit that need of or want of having this Ka-Ku Cafe Noir ink. And then, friends, let's add okay, friends, I swear my animals are just not wanting me to film today. So here we go again. All right, so in this first one we have Sea Holly, and then I'm going to mix it with Firebox, which is what we had in number 1 up here. So let me do a quick grid for these. And I do want to do some colorverse to colorverse with a little bit brighter colors. Birmingham Pen Company inks are kind of muted sometimes in my experience of seeing them. So I'd be curious to see how having a little bit more bright, pungent colors like colorverse Schrodinger would make the colors pop. So we're going to do about the same, friends, to blue. And I try to clean up my pipette each time. Sometimes I don't get a perfect clean, and that's fine, especially using one of these. So the same amount, put that in here. And then we're going to mix this. Can you guys see how that water test dried? Oh, that's way too red. That's like a brick color, which is pretty, but I don't typically like to write with those. Friends, before I forget, this is our first one, Sea Holly. Such a lovely blue. And it does remind me of lake water or ocean water. I'm not a huge blue fan of writing with blue, but I do like this color blue. All right, I'm going to use the same one to mix it, but we're going to add 2 to 1 with the blue being more prominent. I don't know if this is going to be close, friends. Now it's more purple. I am thinking maybe green is probably the undertone here. So friends, that's what you have when you mix Birmingham Pen Company Firebox and Sea Holly. Let me just write this so I don't forget what they are. I kind of figured we'd get like a purple undertone. So I'm going to move this out of the way And I did move my cats out of the room because I have a feeling if I did that without moving it, that would wind up all over my desk. Okay, friends, I am going to move this up. That's dry. Okay. We are going to actually try Colorverse inks. Now, I don't have a red Colorverse ink, so we're going to have to do this strategically. So I did look up that you could do purple and yellow and make a brown. I don't think we're going to get the color that I'm thinking, but I'm just going to give it a shot, and then I'll have to see if I could find a red, a brighter red for this Schrodinger. So I'm going to do 0.5 millimeter in number 1. This is Hayabusa. Very vibrant purple. This one does not have shimmer. There is a version that's glistening. This one does not have any shimmer. And then I don't have a yellow Colorverse, so I'm actually going to mix some yellow Helianthus. So for like this one, I would, if I did like the color, I would set it aside and not use it in my pen for at least 24 to 48 hours. Okay, and then let me do a quick grid. So for my own purposes, and I'm going to add some printables down below. I don't have a LaserJet. Well, I do. I don't have a LaserJet printer set up. So mine is not waterproof, the inkjet. So if you have a LaserJet, go ahead and print them. But keep in mind, if you're using an inkjet printer, it might bleed a little bit onto your ink. Okay, so we have Hayabusa in the first one. A sea of, it's so vibrant, a very vibrant purple. There is some shading in Hayabusa, not a lot. And then we have Helianthus. It's a warm leaning yellow. One of the more legible yellows in my experience. Klinger, Helianthus. Helianthus with an I. Nope. Clean this out as best as I can. And friends, let me know if you end up trying to mix this yourself, how your results are. I'm hoping M. Lovell restocks it. And then I could just buy a bottle, but until then, we're kind of at the whim of doing it ourselves or ordering online overseas, which I'm not keen on doing right now. This will be interesting to see what color this is. That's a mossy brown. Friends, I'm trying to think if we should go more yellow or more purple. It's definitely not going to be this one. You know what? I'm curious. What happens if we go more yellow? It's not going to be the same color, but it's our mix. We can do what we want. I think it's going to be more mossy. But I'm here for that. I'm here for mixing. This is about having fun. Oh, that's like almost like in the forest when the snow is melted, kind of like what I see outside my yard right now. Not a fan of that one. I know some of my friends on Discord love this kind of brown. If you're here for it, that's how you mix it, is Hayabusa and a Helianthus type color, 2 to 1. I will not be saving that one. I do kind of like how this turned out, but so far the Pincushion Moss and Firebox is probably going to be the winner for this dupe. Okay, let's do one more, friends. Let me pause this and try to find a red. Okay, friends, when I say I don't have a lot of reds, I'm not even joking. I don't have a lot of red inks. So we're going to go on an adventure here. We're going to do our Schrodinger by Colorverse. I think this is still widely available. And then I just pulled out a Van Diemen's Tamar Pinot Noir. I think that's like a reddish black. This is the color. It's pretty accurate, but I'll put it down here too. I still think we're on the right track with green and red. So move you up a little bit. I don't think yellow and purple is gonna. I'm gonna move my other yellow purples out, but okay, I'm gonna do green as my first base. Try to get the water out of my pipette. And sometimes it's really hard to do. So we're going to do about the 0.5 millimeters of the same two colors. So Schrodinger and then the ones I showed you, the Van Diemen's. So this is our first one. I think that's red. Crusty from the Firebox ink. And friends, this could be as easy or as intense as you want it to be. I have mixed multiple, like 3 or 4 inks together, and that gets a little bit more complicated trying to keep track of it. But for this purpose, I'm literally just trying to see if I could mix 2 base colors to get a similar color to the Cafe Noir. So this Colorverse, Schrodinger, and then we have now I gotta figure. Okay, there it is. I'll say what I did with my pipette. Then we'll have the Van Diemen's red, which is Tamar Pinot Noir, P-I-N-O-T, and then Noir, N-O-I-R. I know Schrodinger is widely available. I don't know if this one is. If it's not, I'll put it down in the comments, but I don't see why it wouldn't be. So let me swatch this. I didn't realize how close that was to actually Firebox. Okay, and then we have Van Diemen's. So we're gonna do the same amount over here. I actually think we're gonna need more red in that one, friends. What do you think? Yeah, I think we're gonna do a little bit more red. No, I think it's gonna be too red. Actually, friends, that is actually a really nice brown. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's let that dry and come back to it. No, we did 1 to 2. This was 1 to 1. All right, friends, let's let these dry and then we'll kind of look at them and see which one came close from this experiment. Okay, friends, we're mostly dry. So here we have our original Ka-Ku Cafe Noir. It's a nice brown. It's a warm leaning. You can see pink and green undertones with the water test. So friends, what we did here today was we mixed Birmingham Pen Company Firebox and Birmingham Pincushion Moss. Here's the 1 to 1. It's more red. So we added an extra little bit of Pincushion Moss to a 1 to 2 ratio. And we get this color. And then we did Birmingham Pen Company Sea Holly and Birmingham Company Firebox. Here's the 1 to 1. It's very red. And then a 2 to 1. It's a very muted purple. It's kind of flat. And then for Funsy, we went to Colorverse Hayabusa and Roaring Klinger Helianthus. 1 to 1 is a very rich brown. I'm hoping that picks up on camera. I think I have a lot of browns like this, so I'm not too keen on trying to mix to get that again. But this one kind of dried. Okay, originally when it went down, I was worried it was going to be too mud-like. But now that it's dried, it's a little less yellow than the camera's picking up. I think the Helianthus is really showing off some of the yellow properties. I might actually keep this one and just see how it performs in a vial. And then maybe put it in a pen. That's actually a lot better than I thought. And then down here we have Colorverse Schrodinger and Van Diemen's Tamar Pinot Noir. 1 to 1, it is a very foresty green. There's some nice shading in this. And then 1 to 2 is more of a gray leaning brown. Out of these two, I prefer the green. But I think the winner here is going to be, at least from this experiment, is going to be these two here. So I'm going to show you my little book that I have. Let me just move this out of the way. So I'm using a Nemesine. I think it's an A5. Let me zoom you in. Oops. Sorry, friends. Okay. So what I have here is the title and then the date. And then what I'll do is I'll do a swatch of, let's say I'm trying to find a dupe. I'll put the swatch here and then I'll do a little water test. It's still wet, but you can see the green. You can see the green really coming through. See if I can swish that around a little bit. And then I took the one that I really like that I thought was a dupe and I mixed it again using the same ratio. Friends, what I'm going to do now before we leave and I call this a success is we're going to add this next to it. It's such a crazy color. I wanted to show you guys again what it looks like when it's wet compared to when it dries. This ink is so fascinating. Friends, I think we did it. Let me know down in the comments if you think that's close or if that's a dupe or if you've done a different one that's close. And if you try this experiment yourself, let me know what you come up with. So what I'll do is I'll mix these again in a little bit bigger vial. Yeah, okay. And like I think though I'm going to like it. And I'll probably put this in a pen after it sits a while. I'm not too worried about mixing Birmingham Pen Company inks together. They actually have a whole list of recipes on their website for inks you can make. Obviously not Cafe Noir because that's not their ink. But if you guys want to mix up Cafe Noir and you have Firebox or Pincushion Moss, 1 to 2, I'd say that's a pretty close dupe. So friends, that's it for this little ink exploration edition, trying to find a dupe. Let me know what else you would like to see. And these videos take a little bit longer to make, only because they're a little bit more, I want to say chaotic, but a little bit more messy to make. But I love trying to find dupes for an ink. So if there's an ink that you cannot get your hands on, I can see if I have it, or I can see if I can try to replicate it. I would love to know. Just let me know down in the comments down below. let's let this dry and then we will finish it out, okay? So be right back. Okay, friends, we're back. All right, for one final view. I am not sure why my camera is showing such a difference. I promise, friends, this is a lot more similar than this is making it out to be. But in the camera, it's making it look more swampy. I don't think it's the paper in the back. I'm going to consider this one a success. I know, like I said, I'll try to get a picture of it to see if that looks better, but this is pretty spot on, including the shading that I'm getting. So friends, let me know what you think. Let me know if you're going to try something similar, and let me know if you have anything down below that you'd want me to mix up and see if I can find a dupe for. I also think it's hilarious that this is still not dry. Like, what are you doing? What is your deal? Look at that. I should have kept the paper back there. I cannot find my blotter paper, so I'm just using a piece of writing paper. So friends, that's what I do for my mixing book. This book is strictly for just mixing up inks. And sometimes it's chaotic, sometimes it's not. So if you ever want me to go through this with you, I can. But for today, let's just end it here. Thanks, friends, for coming along with my chaotic ink exploration for mixing a dupe for Ka-Ku Cafe Noir. You can find it at the Desk Bandit overseas. And so far, I think that's the only place I have seen it. So, friends, thanks again. I'm going to clean this up before my cats come up here and jump, and whoop, you can see that happening. So, friends, until next time, know that you matter. I hope everything is well. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night wherever you're at. Bye, friends.